Happy Sunday and welcome to your family magical message for this week. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, this reading it feels very interesting. It feels very soft and very sweet, very much like the children. The children have a message that they are wanting to share with us, especially. So, families, just make sure that you all are paying attention what I'm going to say to the messages that you are getting from whether it be your children, children around you, or if you're just intuitive and or everybody has intuition, but if you are actively using, I should say, that intuition, making sure that you're really taking time to hear those messages that are coming from that child, those children, or just that frequency and that energy. Okay. And I know that last week we talked about the messages coming from the children. And so, in this shift that the world is going through, one of the things that's going to be speaking, one of the those energies that are speaking really, 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 really powerfully and really loudly right now, and it really from a heart space. Right now, some of the things that you may see begin to happen will not feel like it's coming from a heart space, right? But just in terms of the messages that the children are bringing when they are speaking to us, right? Whether they are children who are living or children who have passed, they come to bring a message to help to guide us. There is a certain magical insight, right, that a child has. They have the ability to, with very clear, very pinpointed accuracy, to be able to see through realms in a way that allows them to be connected in such a childlike way. That's part of the magic that they bring, right? They still are remembering and actively in that connection. And so it's going to be very important that we take time to channel in these messages that they have. So these kind of readings may be coming up more than just your the regular just family readings that I was giving, just because I'm just feeling their energy really, really strong. And I know last week they came up and they were just letting us know that there were going to be messages and things they wanted us to receive. Okay, so we're going to start off this week just with the general energy of Laborer's Fruit, Maker 3. And with this, it's very interesting because I actually looked at the 3 cards for the week before I looked at this card. And when I looked at that card, immediately what I felt was something was being resurrected, right? Something was coming back from what was thought to have been lost, thought to have been released or let go of, right? But there are things that are coming into full bloom, and maybe in a different way than they were previously. Now, this is interesting because in the general reading that I just recorded, we talked about the fact that there were going to be things coming up or things that were taking place that allowed you to have a different perspective, to take a different outlook on what was around you, what kind of resources, what kind of materials, what kind of relationships you had around you that were really going to help, that was really going to help or really will help for you to reach those goals, those things that we've been working towards. Okay. And so it's very interesting that the children are given a message that is very similar to that, in that something that we thought was lost, something that we thought had left or had gone away, is coming back up. Now, I feel like this message is on on multiple levels. So we're talking about this in very loving and sweet ways, but this in the shadow will also show itself in terms of things that we thought we may have purposely let go of or we move beyond. You may find some of those things coming back up. These things can be like fear, grief, loss, those kinds of things that we feel like we have moved beyond. Now, this can also be that maybe there are, in terms of just the world, these can be things that are spaces or places, kinds of conversation, events that we thought that we wouldn't have to really deal with, or that weren't really a thing anymore. Those kind of things may be happening or taking place this week and in the weeks to come. Things that we, like for instance, not everybody is aware of how racism, for instance, is something that, can still affect people and still affects people in such a way that some people wouldn't say that there is any difference and between certain people and Caucasian people, right? They're not going to necessarily have that experience, right? And so that's something that for them, that's reality. But for maybe on a more wide world scale, maybe people are not thinking about racism in the same ways necessarily that they would have been in terms of the reality, because maybe there are other things that are in the world that are taking place, right? So it's not something that you're thinking about constantly, you know what I mean, in the same way that you were before. It may be that that is not your experienced reality on a day-to-day kind of basis, right? And so it shifts. Even if you connect with it, even if you've had experiences, it's not going to be the same kind of experiences as it would be if it were something that you experienced every day. So saying all that to say that it could be like something like that coming up worldwide, right? Something that, just the general public had the feeling or the thought that we were moving beyond, that there was not going to be those same kind of issues, that we could at least agree to move beyond that part, right? And you may find that some of those things are coming back up, whether we're talking about illness, whether we're talking about how people are relating to one another, whether we're talking about money and that kind of thing. But you're going to see old things come back up, seemingly with new life on the shadow end. On a more positive end, you're going to see things where people are coming together. They are taking things that may have seemed to be useless, and they're using those things as their foundation to really build their dreams from. You're going to be seeing people taking these things that at one time, right, were considered to have been losses and turning them into something beyond, right, what could have ever been thought of. Simply because of the shift in perspective, because the shift in perspective will bring in new energies and new opportunities. It will allow for new life to be able to grow where there had not been previously. So, the beginning of the week, we are starting off with Dreamer 5, Hope Discarded. And this is talking about a change of mind. There's a change in perspective, a change that is taking place that maybe the thing that needs to be held on to, right, is not the thing that you might have thought of. And so that kind of lends itself to that same idea that came up in the general reading as well as this reading, where we're talking about, sometimes the changes and the shifts that need to take place are not what is expected. Sometimes the things that come back up for us are not what we would expect to come back up, whether it be for good or bad. Right now, we're also in Mercury retrograde, so you may have some things come up, or some people come up that are not really for your highest good. So just make sure that you're being mindful. Use your wisdom, use your intuition, but just know that these kind of situations, these kinds of things, whether we're talking about intimately within our families and our homes, or whether we're talking about culturally or worldwide or on any other level, right? These are the same energies that you're going to see play a part. So just make sure that you're paying attention so that you don't miss some of these opportunities for a shift in perspective, right? And then you have the death card coming up. But this death card is full of life at the same time. This owl that is full of wisdom, that carries the book of knowledge, that carries in a way, almost the fruits of its labor, right? This transformation that it's gone through. It is coming out of a space full speed, full, wings completely spread, carrying all that it has gained along its journey, right? So this is the ending of one time and the beginning of a new space. This is the leaving with a fullness, right? And so trust that fullness. Trust that whenever these things come up, whatever is needed to be done with them, you will have everything that is before you to take care of them. So don't even think of anything as being an obstacle. Think of everything that happens to you from this moment on as being an opportunity, right? And so when we're talking with our children, making sure that we're kind of relaying that same message, because sometimes, just like us, we can, or our children can get caught up in a moment or a time period, and we can forget, right, to be in that magical space that allows for everything to just flow. So trust that whatever it is that you are going through, whatever comes up, whatever magical transformations begin to take hold in your life, you are ready and prepared for them. Don't doubt yourself. Don't feel as though, wait a minute, I didn't get something. No, you have everything that you need. You just have to trust that you have it and give yourself the patience, the allowance to really be with whatever it is so that you can make the decisions you need to make those transformations or experience those transformations that we're going to see towards the end of the week with this earth card, the maker card. We're really working. That's that what I think of as like when someone is working with pottery or with clay. And so they've got their hands in there and they're really connecting and they're really just in that zone. And so it's like what you have is everything that you need. So for families, regardless to what is going on, whether it's on the shadow side, whether it's on the light side, whether it's somewhere in the gray area in between, right? Know that you are going through change and transformation. You will begin to see things come back up that had not been present, maybe even for a while, right? But you're going to begin to see these things come up. They're either there. No, they're all coming up so that they can help to push you forward. But they're all going to be there to help to give you a leg up, regardless to whether there's something that you have grown beyond. And it is time for you to recognize in all the ways that you've grown beyond this energy, right? Don't tie it down. If this person comes up, well, I've grown beyond you. What energy, what things, what spaces, what versions of yourself, right, has outgrown that energy, right? So be mindful of that so that you can apply it as you move forward. When we're talking about the messages that we're giving to our children, relaying this message back to them to remind them and to fortify them within themselves that they have everything that they need to take care of what is before them. Okay. Making sure that you're also doing things to, as a parent, coming from that perspective, making sure that you're doing things to instill within yourself your own belief so that what you're doing as you are around them is just oozing with magical possibility. And so what they see, especially during this time, is that. And so then they produce that. And what it does is it raises your frequency as a family. It raises your vibration as a collective. And the more who do that, it doesn't take a lot. Doesn't mean everybody has to do it because no one is ever always going to be, or I should say everyone is never going to always be ready to do something like that. But your family, your household, you and your children, taking that time to raise the frequency within you all brings magic to the space. And if it's just one family, that is just enough. That is perfect, right? It doesn't have to be millions and billions. All it takes is one little ounce, one tiny little bit of faith, one tiny little bit of love, right? Because that one frequency of love, especially when we're talking about high frequency love, you can clear the board. So be in that space this week. Spend time with your children. Be in communication with your children. Get to know your children. Allow your children to get to know you. Be willing to have those difficult and those hard conversations because regardless of how hard it is, the connection matters. Make sure that you all are taking the time to really, really give thought to the things that are present in your life, the things that are coming into your life, right? Many of us are going to be getting second chances. Many of us are going to be getting new chances, new opportunities. And so making sure that as we look at those things, as we look at the spaces in which we have the opportunity to grow and to stretch out into, making sure that we are really taking stock and being grateful and really honoring how much it took for us to be there, to be present in that moment, to have all those pieces magically come together to allow us in that moment to breathe in that reality. So that is the energy for this week. That is the message that is coming through from the children to us, and for us to then also share with our children as we move through this week. Make sure that we are in a space of love. Make sure that we take time to laugh, to grow, and to really allow ourselves to dream, because we are moving into a space where it will be even more so than it is now. It will be your creation. It will be your creation on steroids times 1,000. So making sure that you're taking that time to be grounded, because the energies are rising, things are happening faster. And so you will see the return of anything that you do, good or bad, high frequency or low frequency, just that much faster. So make sure you all take care, families. I love you all. Thank you all for listening in. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow so that you can make sure to catch every single reading each week. I love to hear back from you all in terms of, what your experiences are through the week, what kind of things you all have coming up, questions, whatever. I love to get them. My contact information is down in the description, so make sure you check that out. And we will come back together again next week. Thank you. Bye.